Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I work the night shift at a 24-hour gas station on the outskirts of town. It's a lonely stretch of road, the kind that only truckers and desperate travelers pass through after midnight. I took the job because I needed the money, but after what happened, I don't think any amount of cash could make me go back. It was a slow night. The clock on the register read 2:30 a.m., and the only sounds are the hum of the overhead lights and the occasional gust of wind rattling the glass doors. I was leaning on the counter, half watching the security monitor, when I heard the ding of the front door. I looked up. A man had walked in. He was dressed in a black hoodie, jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low over his face. Something about him immediately set me on edge. Maybe it was the way he moved, slow, deliberate, too smooth, like he was gliding instead of walking. Maybe it was the way he didn't acknowledge me at all. He didn't go to the shelves, didn't pick up a drink or a bag of chips like most late-night customers. Instead, he stopped in the middle of the store and turned his head toward the security camera monitor behind me. Just stood there, staring. My fingers twitched toward the silent alarm under the counter. "Can I help you?" I asked. He didn't answer. He just kept looking at the screen, like he was watching something I couldn't see. The longer he stood there, the heavier the air in the gas station felt. My stomach twisted in a way I couldn't explain, and suddenly I wanted him to leave. "Now, sir," I said louder this time. He turned his head toward me way too slowly, like a puppet on strings. And then he smiled. Not a friendly smile. Not a sorry for creeping you out smile. No, this was something else. It was wide and too knowing, like he was in on some terrible secret, like he was enjoying something I wasn't aware of. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and then, without saying a single word, he turned and walked toward the door. The bell jingled as it swung open, and I watched him step outside. I kept my eyes on him as he crossed the parking lot, moving just as unervingly smooth as before. But when he reached the edge of the lot, right where the streetlights ended, he vanished. Just like that. 1 second he was there, the next gone. No car waiting for him. No sound of footsteps fading into the night. Just empty road. I blinked, rubbed my eyes. I had just seen him. I knew I had. My pulse pounded in my ears. But I forced myself to move. Maybe he ducked down behind something. Maybe he had a car parked out of view. I stepped out from behind the counter and hurried to the glass doors. The parking lot was completely still. No cars. No people. Just the buzzing fluorescent glow of the gas station sign. I looked left. Looked right. Nothing. My hands felt ice cold as I turned back inside, locking the door behind me. I needed to check the cameras. I grabbed the security tablet and scrolled back through the footage. My heart was hammering so hard I could hear it. The camera by the entrance should have caught him coming in. It should have recorded him standing there, staring at the monitor. But as I played it back, my breath caught in my throat. The door never opened. There was no one there. The screen showed the gas station, the counter, the shelves, but no man. No black hoodie. No baseball cap. No one had walked inside. I had spoken to someone who wasn't there. A chill ran down my spine, but my fingers kept scrolling, moving against my will, desperate to find something. Anything that made sense. And then I saw him. My stomach plummeted. He was on the footage now, standing right behind me. I dropped the tablet. It hit the counter with a dull thud. I spun around so fast I nearly tripped. The gas station was empty. I was alone. The only sound was the flickering of the overhead lights and the buzz of the security monitor still playing the footage of a man that shouldn't exist. I quit the next day. Story 2. I've never told this story before, at least not in full. It's the kind of thing you try to forget, but it sticks to you like a stain buried deep in your mind. I used to work security at St. Augustine's Hospital, a rundown little place on the outskirts of town. The kind of hospital where the lights flickered too much, where the hallways always smelled faintly of antiseptic and something worse beneath it, something rotting. My shift ran from midnight to 8 a.m., graveyard hours, when the patients were asleep, the nurses were half awake, and the whole place felt like it had been swallowed by the dark. My job was simple. Sit at the front desk, watch the cameras, and respond to the occasional alarm. Most nights, nothing happened, until one night, the phone at my desk rang. It was an old landline phone, the kind that let out this shrill, rattling ring that echoed in the empty lobby. I picked it up. Security desk. Nothing. Just a faint crackling, like someone breathing too softly for me to hear. Hello. More static. Then, through the white noise, I heard a voice. A whisper. Why did you leave me here? My stomach turned to ice. The voice was small, weak, almost sad, but there was something else under it. Something dark, like a hunger hiding beneath the sorrow. I slammed the phone down so fast my fingers tingled. For a long moment, I just sat there, breathing hard, my ears ringing in the sudden silence. Then I checked the call log. No record of a call. A cold sweat broke out on the back of my neck. That wasn't possible. Phones don't just ring by themselves. I flipped through the security feeds, scanning the hospital's empty hallways. Everything was still, the same dimly lit, sterile corridors as always. But when I switched to camera 6, the basement hallway, my breath caught in my throat. Someone was standing outside the morgue door. Thin, pale, dressed in a hospital gown, so worn it was almost gray. The figure didn't move, didn't shift, just stared directly into the camera. I leaned closer, heart hammering. Something was wrong with their face. The screen flickered, distorting, but I could still see it. Their mouth was too wide, their eyes too deep. The longer I looked, the more I realized they weren't looking at the camera. They were looking at me. I grabbed the radio. Joel, you copy? Joel was the other security guard on duty that night. He'd been working there longer than me, knew the place better. Static crackled before his voice came through. Yeah, what's up? There's someone in the basement. Silence. Ben, are you messing with me? No. Check camera 6. I heard him shuffle, probably turning toward his own monitor. Then, after a long pause, he said, I don't see anything. My stomach dropped. I looked back at my screen. The hallway was empty. The figure was gone. I felt a prickling sensation crawl up my arms. My breath was too loud in the quiet room. Then Joel's voice came back, a little wary. You want me to go check it out? I hesitated. I wanted to say no. Every part of me was screaming, don't go down there. But I couldn't just ignore it. What if someone really was down there? Yeah, I said. Be careful. I watched the screen as Joel's flashlight beam cut through the dim basement hallway. His footsteps echoed against the cold tile floor. He walked toward the moored door, moving slow, his other hand resting near his belt. Not on a gun, we weren't armed, but on the baton at his hip. Then his radio crackled. "Dude," he said, his voice tight. "The phone's off the hook." A chill ran down my spine. I switched to another camera, one pointed at the old rotary phone mounted on the basement wall. It was hanging loose, swinging slightly like someone had just used it, but there was no one there. Joel stepped toward it, reaching out like he was going to put it back. Then he stopped. "Do you hear that?" The radio buzzed in my ear, but at first I heard nothing, just a low, faint hiss of static. Then, a whisper. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew it was the same voice from the phone. The same broken, hungry whisper. I saw Joel stiffen. "Nope," he muttered. "Nope, nope, nope." He turned and bolted back up the stairs. The second he was back at the security desk, his face was pale as paper. We didn't talk. We just sat there, waiting for the shift to end. The next morning, we checked the footage. Every camera had recorded normally, except camera 6. The screen was black. An hour of static, like something didn't want us to see what really happened. Neither of us spoke about it again. A month later, I quit. But sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet and my house is dark, I swear I hear it again. That voice, a whisper, curling through the silence. Why did you leave me here? Story 3. I took the graveyard shift at the hotel as a favor for a friend. He had some kind of family emergency, and I needed the extra cash, so I figured, why not? It wasn't a big place, one of those older, run-down hotels that hadn't been updated since the early 90s. Beige walls, flickering fluorescent lights, and a faint, musty smell that clung to the carpets no matter how much they cleaned. Nights were usually quiet, maybe 1 or 2 late check-ins. A trucker grabbing a room for a few hours before hitting the road again. Mostly, it was just me, a pot of stale coffee, and the security cameras. At 3 a.m., I was behind the front desk, flipping through an old magazine someone had left behind, when I noticed movement in my peripheral vision. A little girl stood just inside the lobby. She couldn't have been older than 6. Barefoot, wearing a white nightgown that looked too thin for the chilly night air. Her hair hung in damp, dark strands over her face, clinging to her cheeks. She was just standing there. I put the magazine down and cleared my throat. "Hey, sweetie, are you lost?" She didn't answer, didn't move. She just slowly lifted one small, pale hand and pointed toward the parking lot. I glanced out through the glass doors. The lot was empty, save for my car and an old Ford pickup that had been there since my shift started. No sign of parents, no other guests wandering around. I looked back at her. "Are your parents staying here?" Again, nothing. Just that steady, unblinking stare, like she was waiting for me to do something. A cold feeling crept up my spine. I don't know why I did it, but I stepped around the desk, moving toward the door. I kept my eyes on the lot, expecting to see someone, anyone, coming out of the shadows to claim her. But there was no one. "Hello," I called out into the night. My voice felt small in the quiet. Silence. I turned back. She was gone, not walking away, not hiding behind the furniture, just gone. My stomach dropped. I rushed to the front desk, rewinding the security footage. My fingers felt stiff, clumsy. I flipped through the cameras, scanning each frame. There was no girl, but there was something else. The footage showed me standing there, looking confused, talking to nothing. I watched myself step outside, looking around, rubbing the back of my neck like I always did when I was nervous. Then I turned back, and my expression changed. I saw it happen in real time. The moment I realized she wasn't there anymore, I slammed the laptop shut. My heart was pounding. I barely slept that day. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. The way she stood there, silent, dripping, pointing. I told myself I must have been tired, maybe hallucinating from lack of sleep. I tried to push it out of my head, but when I got back from my next shift, I mentioned it to the morning receptionist. It was just an offhand comment, something casual. "Hey, you ever see anything weird in here at night?" Her reaction wasn't what I expected. She stopped typing, froze mid-keystroke. Then, slowly, she turned to look at me. "What kind of weird?" she asked. I swallowed. "A little girl," I said. "Barefoot, white nightgown, hair all wet." Her face drained of color. She whispered, almost too low for me to hear, "The pool." A cold wave of dread rolled through me. "What about it?" I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. She hesitated, then finally said, "A little girl drowned in the pool 20 years ago. Her parents left the sliding door open, and she wandered out while they were asleep. They found her floating there the next morning." I felt a chill crawl up my arms. "Was she wearing a nightgown?" I asked. She just nodded. I didn't quit right away. I told myself it was a coincidence, that my brain had made up a ghost story because I was tired. But as the weeks went on, I started to notice things. Wet footprints near the pool, the sound of soft splashes when no one was there, and every so often, just around 3 a.m., I'd catch a glimpse of movement on the security cameras. Something small, something pale, standing just outside the glass doors, watching.